Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today, we're taking on a topic that really spans centuries of history, dives deep into social evolution, and grapples with the very nature of national defense, the evolving role of women in combat.
Hmm.
We've got some fascinating source material from excerpts from Women in Combat Roles, Evolution and Integration to guide us.
Right.
Our mission isn't just to skim the surface, it's to cut through the noise, uncover the journey from, traditional supportive roles to frontline positions,
Yeah, it's quite a journey.
and explore the compelling arguments for and against, and see how countries around the world are navigating this really significant transformation.
Yeah.
You're in for a real journey of understanding. Let's unpack this.
Indeed. And what's particularly fascinating here is how deeply this topic is rooted in far broader societal changes. It goes well beyond just military policy.
Okay.
It's a conversation that has, steadily gained ground globally,
Yeah.
challenging what was traditionally seen as an exclusively male domain
Right, that traditional image.
and moving towards a much more inclusive and, frankly, pragmatic vision of national defense and service.
Pragmatic, interesting.
For modern militaries, this isn't just an ideological debate. It's becoming a strategic imperative.
Okay, so strategy too, because for so long, the image of a combat soldier was almost universally male. Our source highlights how women were historically relegated to what it calls supportive or non-combat duties.
Things like nursing.
Yeah, nursing, intelligence gathering, administration, logistics. There was a very clear, often unquestioned line drawn in the sand.
A definite line.
Women served, but rarely, if ever, on the front lines in direct kinetic combat roles. But if we dig a little deeper, we find that line was often blurrier than official policies suggested, wasn't it?
Absolutely. We connect this to the bigger picture. It's crucial to recognize that women have participated in wars throughout history, often in incredibly brave ways, though frequently unofficial capacities.
Exactly right.
The source reminds us of ancient civilizations, where historical records, though, maybe sparse, occasionally hint at women taking up arms to defend their communities.
Ah, okay.
Then you fast forward to World Wars I and II, and you see women stepping into absolutely crucial roles.
Beyond just support.
Oh, yeah. Not just logistical support or medical care, but also deeply involved in resistance movements, espionage, and even direct military operations in some countries.
Wow.
They were in harm's way, performing tasks critical to the war effort. This really raises an important question. If women were already there, albeit often in the shadows.
When did the formal push start?
Exactly. When did the formal push for their full inclusion truly begin? Our source points to a late 20th century as a pivotal era.
Okay, late 20th century.
That's when nations began to critically reevaluate and adopt more inclusive defense policies, signaling a real deliberate shift from informal participation to recognized official combat roles.
And that's where we start to see the modern conversation really take shape, moving beyond those informal contributions to a deliberate top-down reevaluation of who can and should serve in combat.
Precisely.
It's a really significant historical pivot, isn't it? Challenging centuries of ingrained perceptions.
It really is.
So with that historical context of unofficial contributions firmly in mind, it becomes clearer why the formal push starting then was such a pivotal moment.
Right. This modern push wasn't just about acknowledging past contributions. It was about systematically dismantling barriers and creating formal, equitable pathways.
Mm-hmm.
This late 20th century development truly laid the groundwork for the discussions we're having today, where gender is increasingly less a barrier to specific military roles.
So it's a testament to evolving societal values, meeting the practical kind of evolving demands of modern warfare.
You could say that. Militaries began to recognize that limiting their talent pool based on gender was, well, in essence, an unnecessary self-handicap.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Supporters of women in combat don't just argue for equality as like a moral principle.
No, it's more than that.
They make a profoundly pragmatic case for meritocracy. They emphasize that opportunities should be based on capability, not gender.
That's the core argument.
It's not about being a man or a woman. It's about whether you can meet the rigorous demands of the job. And frankly, our source highlights that women have proven their physical, psychological, and leadership skills during rigorous training and peacekeeping missions.
They have.
They've demonstrated their competence where it counts, under immense pressure.
Exactly. And what's truly fascinating here is the tangible, practical benefit that moves beyond just principles of fairness. Opening combat roles to women expands the pool of talent in the armed forces.
Right, the talent pool. Makes sense.
For an organization like the military, which constantly needs to innovate and adapt, this isn't a small thing. It means filling critical skill gaps, attracting the best minds,
Drawing from everyone.
drawing from the entire population to find individuals with the necessary aptitudes and dedication. This is particularly crucial when nations face increasing defense demands and need every capable individual to contribute.
Okay.
Furthermore, the source highlights how the presence of women can enhance unit capabilities by bringing diverse perspectives and skills.
Diverse perspectives.
Right.
How so, practically?
Well, it's not just a feel-good statement. Diverse perspectives can mean better problem-solving in complex scenarios. Think negotiating with local populations, a female soldier might bridge cultural gaps more effectively in some situations.
Okay, I see.
Or even predicting adversary behavior more accurately.
Right.
It can be a strategic advantage, not just a social one, especially in situations requiring cultural sensitivity, intelligence gathering, or working with women and children in conflict zones where, an all-male unit might face inherent limitations.
So it's not just about upholding ideals of fairness, which is important, but about making the military genuinely stronger, more adaptable.
Exactly. Better equipped.
Better equipped for the complexities of modern conflict. It's a compelling argument. You get a broader selection of the best and brightest, and you get teams that can handle a wider, more nuanced range of scenarios.
Right.
It also fundamentally challenges some of those very traditional ideas about what strength or leadership actually looks like in a combat zone. You're saying it's about optimizing the fighting force itself.
You've hit on the core issue there. It's a pragmatic recognition that modern warfare demands this kind of adaptability. It absolutely shifts the focus from traditional assumptions about gender to actual performance and strategic advantage. The military, like any complex, high-stakes organization, benefits immensely from diversity of thought and experience.
Makes sense.
When you arbitrarily limit who can serve in certain roles, you inherently limit your potential, your problem-solving capacity, and ultimately your adaptability in a rapidly changing global security landscape.
So the source is pretty clear then.
Yeah, the source very clearly makes the case that capability is the paramount factor, regardless of gender.
Of course, no significant transformation comes without its challenges.
Right.
Right? And our source doesn't shy away from outlining them.
No, it addresses them directly.
Concerns are often raised about physiological differences between men and women, arguing that the intense physical demands of combat could disadvantage female soldiers.
This is a common point and an understandable one.
It is.
The sheer raw physical requirements of carrying heavy gear, enduring grueling conditions, engaging in close quarters combat. For an audience tracking this closely, it's like a perennial sticking point.
Sure.
What does our source highlight about how militaries are maybe redefining or applying these standards to ensure fairness and operational effectiveness for everyone?
That's a critical question. The source acknowledges these physiological realities, but it emphasizes that modern militaries are moving towards gender-neutral physical standards.
Gender neutral, so the same standard for everyone.
Essentially, yes. The standard is set by the demands of the job itself, not by a presumed average for men or women, if you can meet the benchmark.
Like lifting a certain weight or running? Exactly. Lifting a certain weight, running a specific distance with a pack, completing an obstacle course. If you meet the standard, you're qualified. It removes the argument from gender and places it squarely on individual capability.
Okay.
But beyond the physical, there are also the social and operational aspects. Concerns are cited around unit cohesion, privacy, and higher risk of exploitation or harassment.
Right. Those are serious concerns.
Very serious. They speak to the unique dynamics of combat units, where trust and a professional, secure environment are absolutely paramount.
And then there's the really stark concern mentioned that adversaries may treat captured female soldiers differently, potentially exposing them to harsher conditions.
Oh, that's a heavy one.
These aren't minor points. They reflect very real potential risks and complexities that cannot be simply dismissed.
Absolutely not.
Those are indeed very serious considerations, especially the potential for different treatment as prisoners of war. It really underscores the gravity of the decisions involved here.
It does.
But the source doesn't just list the concerns, it suggests solutions, right? Strategies for mitigation. What does mitigation look like in practice for these types of challenges?
You've highlighted the crucial next step. The source suggests these challenges can be mitigated through, and I'm quoting here, strict enforcement of standards, effective training, and creating a professional culture of mutual respect and discipline.
Okay, but what does that actually look like on the ground?
Right. So strict enforcement of standards means clear, non-negotiable codes of conduct, zero tolerance policies for harassment or discrimination. It's about leadership actively fostering an environment where professional respect is paramount,
Top-down enforcement.
and any deviation is met with serious consequences. Then effective training isn't just about combat skills, it's about extensive cultural and sensitivity training for all personnel,
For everyone, yeah.
emphasizing what mutual respect looks like in a co-ed combat environment. It's also about preparing all soldiers for the realities of modern conflict, including specific protocols for how to manage various scenarios, like, for instance, if a female soldier were captured.
Planning for those worst-case scenarios?
It's about proactive management, ensuring robust institutional safeguards, and building a framework that supports all soldiers equally and professionally.
So it's not about ignoring the challenges, but about actively working to overcome them with robust, constantly evolving policies and an unwavering commitment to professional standards.
Exactly.
It's a comprehensive approach looking at training, culture, clear expectations, rather than allowing old assumptions to dictate who can serve. Sounds like a continuous effort, not a one-time fix.
Precisely. It emphasizes that while the concerns are valid and deeply felt, they are not insurmountable obstacles. The key is managing them effectively, ensuring that the integration process is thoughtful, well-planned, and consistently supported by a strong ethical and professional framework. The goal is always to ensure that all soldiers, regardless of gender, can perform their duties effectively and safely.
Which ultimately enhances the military's overall strength and integrity.
That's the idea.
So what does this all mean in practice on a global scale? Around the globe, a number of countries have opened combat roles to women with, varying timelines and degrees of integration.
It's definitely not uniform everywhere.
Our source mentions trailblazers like the United States, Israel, Canada, Norway, and Australia. In these nations, women are serving in a variety of incredibly challenging positions: fighter pilots, infantry soldiers, and even in special forces units.
Some of the toughest roles.
And critically, the source notes they are often performing on par with their male counterparts. That's a powerful statement about individual capability in action.
It is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we see a global trend, albeit with different nations at different stages. Take Israel, for instance. With its compulsory military service for both men and women, it's often seen as a leader in integration.
Right, they've been doing it longer in some ways.
Women serve in a vast array of roles, including combat support and border defense. Canada and Norway have been notably proactive. Norway even introduced gender-neutral conscription,
Wow. Okay.
fully embedding the principle that all citizens are equally capable of serving. These examples really underscore the practical application of that capability, not gender principle.
And what about nations that might be seen as maybe newer to this particular evolution?
That's where a compelling example like India comes in. Our source highlights that the debate has gained intensity in recent years there.
India. Okay.
While women have served as medical and nursing officers for decades, those traditional yet absolutely crucial roles, this shift recently has been dramatic.
How so?
They've only recently been allowed into branches like the Air Force fighter stream.
Fighter jets, not just transport.
Exactly. Operating high-performance combat aircraft under intense pressure. Then there's the Army's Permanent Commission.
What does that signify?
That signifies a full career path, allowing women to rise to the highest ranks and take on long-term leadership positions. It's a fundamental shift from temporary service roles.
A huge change.
And most recently, they've begun to serve as captainships on naval warships. These are monumental milestones, fundamentally transforming the Indian Armed Forces.
Those are major leaps for India, showing a truly significant and accelerating expansion of roles.
Absolutely.
Moving from primarily supportive positions to flying advanced jets, commanding ships, pursuing full Army careers. It's a huge leap. It reflects a blend of changing societal norms and evolving defense needs, maybe.
I think that's fair to say.
It really highlights how different countries are on different timelines, but the general direction across the globe seems to be towards greater inclusion and recognition of competence.
Precisely. These developments mark significant progress towards gender integration in the military, in a major global power like India. It illustrates that while some nations were earlier adopters, others are now actively pursuing similar paths.
Driven by the same core arguments.
Yeah, talent expansion and the recognition of competence as the ultimate arbiter. Each nation's journey reflects a unique interplay of societal norms, military needs, political will. But the overarching trend is clear:
Broadening opportunities.
broadening opportunities for women in defense. And what we see consistently across these examples is that operational effectiveness remains paramount, and accountability is the guiding principle for success.
Okay, so this deep dive has shown us that the inclusion of women in combat roles is far more than just a simple policy change.
Much more.
It symbolizes a broader transformation in social and institutional attitudes toward gender equality. We've explored the rich historical context, moving from often hidden informal participation to deliberate formal integration. We've weighed the compelling arguments for inclusion based on merit and capability. And we've squarely faced the very real challenges, from physiological demands to critical issues of unit cohesion and soldier welfare that need careful consideration and proactive mitigation.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground. Ultimately, the source concludes that the question should not be about gender, but about competence and dedication to service.
Competence and dedication.
By allowing women to serve in combat, nations not only strengthen national defense by tapping into a wider, more diverse talent pool and accessing a broader range of skills.
To pragmatic side again.
They also reflect the fundamental principles of fairness, inclusivity, and equal opportunity in modern societies. It's a dual benefit, really. It addresses both practical military needs and fundamental societal values.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? As societies continue to evolve and as the demands of complex global challenges intensify, where else might we see traditionally gendered roles redefined by competence and dedication rather than by, outdated assumptions?
That's a great question to leave people with.
Something to ponder as you go about your day.